It was the kind of news no one saw coming. For months, fans of Hudson and Rex tuned in each week, smiling at Rex's sharp instincts and heartwarming bond with Detective Hudson. But behind the scenes, a heartbreaking truth was quietly unfolding. Diesel, the beloved German shepherd who brought Rex to life, had passed away. What's even more shocking is that this loss was kept a secret for 6 long months. Why would the production hide something so important from the fans? The answer isn't simple, and it has everything to do with love, grief, and the way Diesel's presence shaped every moment of the show. Asterisk from the very first episode. Diesel wasn't just a dog on set, he was the heart of Hudson and Rex. His intelligence, loyalty, and charisma made Rex feel like more than a fictional canine partner. Every scene where Rex leapt into action, sniffed out a clue, or gave Hudson that knowing look wasn't just great acting, it was a genuine display of Diesel's remarkable training and personality. Diesel's chemistry with John Reardon, who plays Detective Charlie Hudson, became the emotional center of the series. The way Hudson would give a command and Diesel would respond instantly made their bond feel real, almost as if they truly understood each other beyond words. This connection wasn't just for the camera. Cast and crew often spoke about how Diesel had a special sense for people's emotions. On long shooting days, when the cast was tired or stressed, Diesel had a way of bringing calm and joy to everyone around him. The character of Rex became a symbol of trust, bravery, and unwavering friendship, and Diesel delivered that with an authenticity no special effects could match. Whether he was chasing down suspects in high-intensity scenes, or simply sitting quietly beside Hudson in emotional moments, Diesel made Rex more than a TV character, he made him unforgettable. Over the seasons, Diesel's work gave Hudson and Rex a unique warmth. Fans tuned in not only for the crime-solving stories, but to watch the deep bond between man and dog grow stronger with every episode. Diesel became a silent storyteller, expressing loyalty, curiosity, and love through every tilt of his head and wag of his tail. He wasn't just playing Rex, in many ways he was Rex. That's why his passing was such a devastating blow, not just to the team who worked with him every day, but to the audience who had welcomed him into their homes and hearts. And knowing that this loss happened quietly, long before the public was told, only makes the story more bittersweet. The truth about those 6 silent months holds more emotion than fans could have imagined, and it all begins with understanding the depth of Diesel's place in Hudson and Rex. Asterisk long before fans knew anything was wrong, subtle changes had already begun on set. Diesel, always sharp and full of energy, started showing signs of slowing down. To the casual viewer, these moments were almost invisible. A slightly shorter chase scene, a camera angle that didn't linger as long on him, or a script adjustment where Rex stayed in the background more than usual. But for the cast and crew who worked alongside him daily, these little changes spoke volumes. They knew Diesel was facing a battle, and every decision was quietly shaped around protecting him. Behind the scenes, the atmosphere shifted. Filming days involving Diesel became shorter, giving him more rest between takes. His trainers adjusted the complexity of his stunts, focusing more on gentle, controlled actions instead of the high-energy leaps and sprints fans were used to. Whenever Diesel needed a break, production would pause without question. Scenes would be rearranged so that John Reardon and other cast members could shoot around him, making it look seamless on screen. These were small acts of care, but they carried a huge emotional weight, a constant reminder that Diesel's health was more important than the show's schedule. There was also an unspoken agreement among the team: keep Diesel's condition private. This wasn't about hiding the truth for the sake of drama, it was about giving him dignity. The people closest to Diesel didn't want the final months of his life to be defined by worry or speculation. They wanted him to continue being celebrated as the strong, clever, loyal Rex fans adored. Not as a dog in decline. Off camera, moments became more tender. Between takes, you'd see John Reardon crouching down to stroke Diesel's fur, whispering to him like an old friend. Crew members who'd known him since season 1 would slip him extra treats or give him gentle pats as he walked past. Even Guest actors who only appeared for an episode or two spoke about how instantly comforting Diesel's presence was, as if he had this rare gift of making you feel like you'd known him for years. But this quiet struggle also came with heartbreak. For the team, they could feel time running out even if they didn't say it out loud. Every scene with Diesel became a memory in the making. They weren't just filming another episode. They were preserving moments they knew they would never get back. It's part of why, when the day finally came that Diesel passed, the grief on set was overwhelming. It wasn't just the loss of a co-star. It was losing a family member. This is why the decision to keep his passing a secret for 6 months made sense to those who were there. The cast and crew weren't ready to share their grief with the world. They needed to process it privately, to come to terms with the fact that the soul of Hudson and Rex was gone. In many ways, the silence wasn't just about protecting the fans from heartbreak. It was about protecting themselves. When viewers look back at Diesel's final episodes, they might notice the small adjustments now. A scene where Rex trots alongside Hudson instead of sprinting ahead. A close-up where his eyes seem softer, more tired. These aren't flaws in the show. They're part of a love letter the crew unknowingly left behind. A series of moments crafted to let Diesel shine. Until the very end. And as the truth would later reveal, those last months weren't just about keeping the show going. They were about giving Diesel the send-off he deserved. Without the world watching every step, the day Diesel passed away, the Hudson and Rex set fell silent in a way it never had before. This was a production known for its energy, for the sound of trainers giving commands, for Diesel's paws tapping across the floor, for the playful laughter between takes when Rex did something unexpected. But in that moment the air felt heavy. People didn't know what to say, and many couldn't even look each other in the eye. It was the kind of grief that didn't need words. Everyone felt it deep in their bones. For John Reardon, who had spent years building an on-screen and off-screen bond with Diesel, the loss was like losing a partner. Their chemistry wasn't scripted. It came from real trust and connection. John often said in interviews that Diesel had an almost human way of understanding him. On set, Diesel would sometimes anticipate a command before it was even spoken, responding to John's tone or body language instead. Losing that kind of connection isn't just losing a coworker, it's losing a friend who could read your soul. The trainers, who had cared for Diesel like their own, were hit just as hard. They had been there through every step of his career. From learning his first cues to pulling off complex stunts with flawless precision, they'd seen him on his best days and carried him through his worst. For them, Diesel wasn't a star or a character, he was family. The moment he was gone, the set felt incomplete, like something vital was missing. No matter how many people filled the space. Crew members, too, felt the absence deeply. Diesel had a way of bridging gaps between departments. Whether you were a camera operator, a costume assistant, or part of the lighting team, you couldn't help but stop and smile when Diesel padded by. He brought a calm that even the most stressful filming days couldn't shake. Now, with him gone, that quiet comfort had been replaced by a sharp ache that hung over everyone. And it wasn't just sadness they felt, it was the struggle of knowing they had to keep going. Television doesn't stop for grief, and the team still had episodes to finish. That meant stepping onto the same set, working through the same scenes, but without the heartbeat that had always been there. The pain was amplified by the fact that they couldn't talk about it publicly yet. Every interview, every behind-the-scenes clip had to pretend as if nothing had happened. Smiles had to be forced, jokes had to be made, and the illusion of normalcy had to be maintained. Even though everyone was hurting, this emotional weight created a kind of unspoken bond among the cast and crew. They leaned on each other in ways they never had before. Some days they'd share quiet memories of Diesel, like the time he unexpectedly wandered into a take and completely stole the scene, or when he refused to leave John's side between shots on a particularly cold day. Other days, no one mentioned him at all, because the hurt was still too raw. There was also a shared fear. How would fans react when they finally found out? The people behind Hudson and Rex knew that Diesel wasn't just their dog. He belonged to the audience too. Millions of viewers had formed an attachment to Rex, and revealing his death would break their hearts. That responsibility weighed heavily, making the decision to delay the announcement feel even more necessary. Grief became an invisible character in those months. It didn't appear on screen, but it shaped everything. Every episode filmed after Diesel's passing carried a hidden layer of emotion. For the people making the show, those weren't just scenes, they were tributes, even if the audience didn't know it yet. This is why, when the truth finally came out, the cast and crew spoke about Diesel not as a prop or a role, but as a friend whose absence would never be filled. The bond they shared with him couldn't be replaced. In their eyes, Diesel wasn't just part of Hudson and Rex, he was Hudson and Rex. And letting the world in on that loss was one of the hardest things they had ever done. When the news of Diesel's death finally broke, fans were hit with a second shock, the realization that it had happened half a year earlier. For many, the first reaction was confusion. Why would the production team, the network, and even the cast keep something so significant from the public for so long? The answer lies in a mix of emotional necessity, professional responsibility, and the unique bond between the Hudson and Rex family and their audience. The first and perhaps most important reason was grief. Diesel wasn't just a four-legged actor. He was the heart and spirit of the series. Losing him meant losing a part of the show's soul, and that kind of pain doesn't fade overnight. The people who worked with him every day weren't ready to talk about it. They needed space to mourn privately, away from headlines, away from social media reactions, and away from the inevitable wave of questions that would come with a public announcement. In those first weeks, it wasn't about the show or the fans. It was about the people who loved Diesel as family, finding a way to cope with his absence. Another reason was timing. Hudson and Rex is a series with a steady, passionate viewership, and the producers knew that dropping the news mid-season could overshadow the episodes on air. Every storyline, every character arc, and every moment featuring Rex would have been reframed by the knowledge that the dog on screen was no longer alive. Fans might watch with sadness instead of joy, and the tone of the season could have shifted from excitement to mourning. For a show built on warmth, optimism, and trust, that wasn't the atmosphere they wanted to create. While episodes were still airing, there was also the question of how to honor Diesel properly. Announcing his passing too soon would have meant releasing the news without the chance to prepare a meaningful tribute. The creative team wanted more than a press statement. They wanted to build something worthy of his legacy. That meant gathering behind-the-scenes footage, compiling the best of his on-screen moments, and crafting a send-off that would feel like a celebration of his life rather than just an announcement of his death. Those things take time. From a production standpoint, there was a layer of practicality as well. Diesel's scenes were filmed in advance, and some of them still needed to air after he was gone. If the news had been made public immediately, audiences would have been watching knowing they were seeing his final moments, and that might have overshadowed the storylines entirely. The producers wanted viewers to enjoy Rex's character without the weight of grief pressing down on every scene. They wanted Diesel's last performances to be experienced as they were intended, full of life, wit, and charm. Internally, the decision also came down to the cast and crew's emotional readiness to face the public. Press tours, interviews, fan conventions, all of these are part of the job. And the people behind Hudson and Rex knew that once the news was out, they would be expected to talk about it repeatedly. For many, the idea of reliving their grief in front of cameras and microphones was too much to bear so soon after the loss. Waiting gave them time to heal, to find the right words, and to make sure that when they did speak, it came from a place of strength rather than raw pain. Finally, there's the understanding that Hudson and Rex isn't just entertainment, it's comfort television for many viewers. The series is known for its warmth, its focus on loyalty and friendship, and its ability to leave people smiling at the end of an episode. Announcing Diesel's death too quickly could have changed the way people felt about the show, at least for a while. By waiting, the team hoped fans could continue enjoying Rex's adventures without the immediate shadow of loss, and then say goodbye when the time was right. In the end, the 6-month delay wasn't about hiding the truth. it was about protecting Diesel's memory, the integrity of the show, and the emotional well-being of everyone who loved him. When the announcement finally came, it wasn't rushed or careless. It was a carefully chosen moment, one that allowed for both heartbreak and gratitude, and one that made sure Diesel's legacy as Rex would live on not as a tragedy, but as a treasured part of Hudson and Rex history.